Imagine you're 30 years old, standing in your parents' backyard on crutches you've needed every single day for the last 2 years. And your own sister rips one of them away, screaming to 30 relatives that you're faking it for attention and money. You hit the ground hard. Phones come out. Laughter explodes. And in that moment you realize some of the people who are supposed to love you most actually hate the person they think you've become. My name is Phoebe Quinn, and what happened next didn't just humiliate my sister in front of our entire family. It ruined her life in ways she never saw coming. This is the full story, and it's a long one. Grab something to drink because you're not going to want to pause this. If you've ever been betrayed by the people who share your blood, this one is going to hit you right in the soul. The smell of charcoal and pineapple marinade floated through the Denver air that Saturday afternoon. Dad's 60th birthday barbecue. Red Solo cups, kids chasing each other through sprinklers, classic rock playing from the patio speakers. Normal. I'd been nervous about coming at all. My spinal injury from the car wreck 2 years earlier still left me with drop foot, chronic pain, and the very real need for forearm crutches on anything but perfectly smooth floors. But Dad had begged. Just an hour, family picture, please. So I came. I remember the exact moment my world cracked in half. I was crossing the grass toward the dessert table, one careful crutch step at a time, when my older sister Sabrina planted herself in front of me like a wall. She'd been drinking, eyes glassy, cheeks flushed red. Everyone quieted the way crowds do when they smell drama. "Stop faking it, Phoebe," she announced, loud enough for the neighbors to hear. "Just stop. We're all sick of the act." I laughed, nervous, thinking she was joking. "Sab, come on." Then she grabbed my left crutch, my weight-bearing one, and yanked it clean out from under me. Time slowed. I felt my balance vanish, arms windmilling, the sick lurch in my stomach as gravity won. My hip hit the ground first, then my shoulder. Pain shot up my spine like someone had poured gasoline on it and struck a match. And the laughter. God, the laughter. Aunt Clara actually cackled, phone already up, recording. Cousin Joanna doubled over like it was the funniest prank she'd ever seen. Cousin Andrew, who once saw me take 3 shaky steps in physical therapy and decided that meant I was cured, hooped, "Told you guys." I lay there on the grass, cheek in the dirt, staring up at 30 faces I'd known my whole life, and not one of them looked concerned. Not even Mom. She just clutched her wine glass and stared at the picnic table like it might save her from the scene. Sabrina towered over me, crutch held high like a trophy. She's been scamming Mom and Dad for years. Medical bills, guilt trips, the whole thing. I'm done watching it. I tried to speak, to explain that the accident shattered 2 vertebrae, that I have permanent nerve damage, that I'm in pain every single day. But my voice cracked and the only sound that came out was this pathetic whimper. My best friend Naomi, who's been to every single one of my PT appointments, who's held my hair when pain meds made me sick, stood frozen 10 feet away, hand over her mouth. Later she told me she'd started recording the second Sabrina opened her mouth. At the time I just remember thinking, this is how I die, not from the wreck that broke my back, but from shame. Sabrina kept going. She always was the loudest person in any room. I'm the one taking Mom to chemo appointments while Princess Phoebe plays crippled for sympathy checks. Mom's cancer had been in remission for 3 years. Sabrina hadn't taken her to a single appointment. But facts didn't matter anymore. The crowd had chosen a villain, and I was it. I pushed myself to sitting, grass stains on my sundress, tears cutting tracks through the dirt on my face. My remaining crutch was 3 feet away. I couldn't reach it without crawling. And then I heard it, the sound that still haunts me sometimes when I'm trying to fall asleep. My own father laughing at the grill, flipping another burger, telling Uncle Rick a dad joke like his daughter wasn't being torn apart 20 feet away. That was the moment I stopped being part of this family. I managed to drag myself upright using a lawn chair. The jeers kept coming. "Look, she can stand when she wants to. Maybe if we take both crutches she'll sprint to the car." I remember the sun felt too hot, the air too thick, every laugh like a needle under my skin. I was shaking so hard I nearly fell again. And that's when a calm, familiar voice cut through everything like a blade. She's not faking anything. I can prove it. Dr. Stephen Brooks, my physical therapist and Dad's oldest friend, stepped out from the edge of the crowd. He'd been invited last minute and had arrived just in time to witness the whole circus. 6 words from him, and the backyard went dead silent. The first thing you hear on Dr. Brooks' phone is me crying. Not polite crying. Ugly, guttural. I can't do this anymore, crying from last Tuesday's session. Then my voice raw and shaking. I'm sorry, I know I'm slow today. And Dr. Brooks calm as ever. Phoebe, you just took 8 unassisted steps. That's not slow. That's a miracle. The footage is brutal to watch. Me in baggy PT shorts, face blotchy, sweat dripping off my chin, legs trembling like a newborn foal's. Every single step looks like it costs me a year of my life. Parallel bars. Dr. Brooks spotting me from behind in case I collapse. My back muscles spasming so hard you can actually see the ripples under my skin. At one point I scream, an actual scream, because a nerve fires wrong and it feels like lightning in my spine. The backyard was so quiet I could hear the ice melting in people's cups. Dr. Brooks let it play for a full 30 seconds. 30 seconds of me fighting for every inch of ground while these people had just laughed at me for falling. Then he stopped the video and looked straight at Sabrina. Spinal cord injury L2, L4. Incomplete but permanent. That's not an opinion. That's her MRI. I have a whole file of them if anyone still wants to call her a liar. Sabrina's face cycled through every shade of red and white I've ever seen on a human being. The crutch in her hand suddenly looked radioactive. She let it fall to the grass like it burned her. Aunt Clara's phone dropped to her side. Joanna's mouth formed a perfect little O. Andrew looked like someone had punched him in the soul. Mom finally moved, took one step toward me, then stopped like she wasn't sure she was allowed. Dad just stared at the grill, spatula frozen mid-flip. I wish I could tell you I stood up tall, wiped my tears, and delivered some movie-perfect speech. I didn't. I was shaking with adrenaline and rage and 2 years of swallowed screams. All I managed was a cracked whisper. You all watched me fall, and you laughed. Naomi was beside me in a heartbeat, arm around my waist, helping me balance on my one crutch. She leaned in so only I could hear. I got everything. Every word. Every laugh. We're using it. Dr. Brooks didn't yell. He didn't need to. His quiet authority did the yelling for him. Phoebe, you don't have to stay here. He offered his arm. Took it. And just like that the crowd parted. 30 people who 5 minutes ago were jeering suddenly couldn't meet my eyes. Sabrina tried one last time. Fee, I didn't even turn around. You've said enough. We walked through that silence like it was waist-deep mud. Every step on those crutches felt like defiance. I could feel their stares on my back, burning holes. As Dr. Brooks guided me toward the side gate, I heard Aunt Clara mutter, "Well, how were we supposed to know?" And Cousin Joanna, voice small, "I feel sick. But I hope you choke on it." In the car, Naomi sat in the back with me, holding my hand so tight my fingers went numb. Dr. Brooks drove us straight to the ER to get me checked, just in case the fall had done new damage. Clean, thank God. Just bruises and a fresh flare-up that would have me crying into my pillow for days. But the pain in my body was nothing compared to the pain in my chest. It felt like someone had reached in and snapped every tether that used to connect me to these people. Family. The word tasted like ash. That night I didn't sleep. I sat on my couch staring at Naomi's video on her phone, replaying it over and over. 47 seconds of pure cruelty. Sabrina's triumphant smirk. Clara zooming in on my face hitting the ground. Joanna clapping like it was a comedy show. Andrew yelling, "I knew it." Every time I watched it, something colder settled in my stomach. Naomi stayed over. At 3 a.m. she found me still awake, eyes swollen, jaw clenched so hard it ached. "Phoebe," she said softly, "what do you want to do with this?" I didn't answer right away. I just stared at the frozen frame of Sabrina holding my crutch over her head like she'd slayed a dragon. "I want them to feel what I felt," I whispered. I want the whole world to see exactly who they are. Naomi nodded once. Then we don't post it yet. We do this right. We make it hurt in ways they never recover from. She already had a plan forming. She always thinks 3 steps ahead. The next morning she called in sick to work, and we sat at my kitchen table with coffee and laptops and righteous fury. Step 1. Find a lawyer who eats cases like this for breakfast. Step 2. Preserve every scrap of evidence. Naomi's video, Dr. Brooks' session footage, my medical records, text messages from relatives that were already starting to trickle in with their pathetic little "hope you're okay" messages. Step 3. We wait. We let them think it's over. We let the guilt simmer. Because the best revenge isn't loud. Surgical. By noon we had an appointment with Lisa Donovan, a disability rights attorney who'd made headlines for destroying a university that tried to kick out a student with fibromyalgia. Lisa watched Naomi's video once, face completely neutral, then looked me dead in the eye and said, "Your sister committed assault on a disabled person in front of 30 witnesses. She publicly accused you of fraud. That's defamation per se. We're not just suing her, Phoebe. We're going to make this a cautionary tale." I felt something unlock in my chest when she said that. Not relief yet, but possibility. That was Monday. By Wednesday, the first police officer was at Sabrina's door. By Friday, my blog titled, "I Fell in My Parents' Backyard and My Family Laughed," went live with the first post. And by the following week, the video hit the internet like a nuclear bomb. The first 10 days after the barbecue were the quietest days of my life. No angry phone calls. No screaming matches. Just silence, thick, radioactive silence from every relative who'd watched me hit the ground and laughed. Mom texted once, "Are you okay, sweetheart?" That looked like it hurt. As if she hadn't stood there clutching her rose while her eldest daughter committed felony-level assault. Dad didn't text at all. Sabrina tried calling twice. I let it ring. She left voicemails that started confident, "We need to talk, this is getting blown out of proportion," and ended shaky. "Fee, please pick up, I'm sorry, okay?" I saved everyone. Evidence. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, Naomi and I were moving like chess grandmasters. Lisa Donovan filed the civil suit on day 6. We didn't tell anyone. Count 1. Assault and battery on a disabled person. Count 2. Defamation per se. Count 3. Intentional infliction of emotional distress. We asked for $350,000 in damages. Not because I needed the money. Because I wanted Sabrina to feel the exact weight of what she tried to take from me. Lisa also drafted restraining order paperwork. Ready to go the second Sabrina tried to corner me again. Detective Mark Peterson from Denver PD's Bias Crime Unit took my statement on day 8. He watched Naomi's video 3 times without blinking. Then he looked at me and said, "This is one of the ugliest things I've seen in 15 years. We're opening a criminal case. Assault on a disabled person is a Class 6 felony here." I didn't smile. I couldn't yet. But something inside me unclenched for the first time since the fall. Day 9, I launched the blog under a pseudonym at first. Crutch Chronicles. First post. 2,800 words titled, "The Day My Family Watched Me Fall." No video yet. Just the story, raw, unfiltered, every detail I've told you and more. The way the grass smelled when my face hit it. The exact pitch of Aunt Clara's laugh. The way Dad's back stayed turned the entire time. I hit publish at 11:07 p.m. By the time I woke up, it had 40,000 views. That was the moment I realized. The court case was going to hurt Sabrina legally. The internet was going to hurt her forever. Naomi and I spent the next 72 hours doing things I never thought I was capable of. We created a public Google Drive titled, "Phoebe Quinn, Evidence." Inside, Naomi's full 47-second video unedited, Dr. Brooks' therapy footage with timestamps, screenshots of every text from relatives that said things like, "Maybe you were milking it a little," my complete medical file, a timeline of every dollar my parents had ever spent on my care. We didn't post the link anywhere. Not yet. We just let it exist. Like a loaded gun on the table. Then we sat back and waited for the guilt to do its work. It didn't take long. Aunt Clara was the first to crack. She posted a vague Facebook status about family misunderstandings. Comments tore her apart. Someone recognized the background. The dots connected themselves. Joanna sent a 3-page handwritten letter. I read it once, cried, then put it in the evidence folder without replying. Sabrina's best friend from college texted Naomi asking what the hell was going on. Naomi sent her the drive link. 10 minutes later, the friend unfollowed Sabrina on everything. Piece by piece, we watched Sabrina's carefully curated life start to wobble. And we still hadn't dropped the video publicly. On day 12, Detective Peterson called me. "Your sister's employer just terminated her," he said, voice flat. "Bank compliance department. They saw the video making the rounds internally. Guess someone forwarded the drive link. They decided they couldn't have someone on staff who publicly assaults disabled people." I sat down hard on my kitchen floor. It was real. It was actually happening. That night, Naomi looked at me across takeout containers and said the sentence I'd been waiting weeks to hear. "Are you ready to light the match?" It was. At 9:03 p.m. on a Thursday, exactly 2 weeks after the barbecue, Naomi uploaded the video to TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram Reels simultaneously. Title: "She took my crutch and called me a faker in front of my entire family. I'm disabled." Description: full story plus evidence folder in bio. This happened in Denver, Colorado 2 weeks ago. I'm suing her. Police are involved. Share if you've ever been told your disability isn't real. We added every disability hashtag we could think of. We tagged every major news outlet in Colorado. We tagged the bank Sabrina had just been fired from. Then we turned our phones face down and waited. 20 minutes later, my phone started screaming with notifications so fast it sounded like a smoke detector. By midnight, the video had 1.2 million views. By sunrise, 11 million. By the end of the weekend, 63 million across platforms. Sabrina's full name was trending nationwide inside of 12 hours. Her LinkedIn was flooded. Her employer's Facebook page was review-bombed into oblivion. Old high school classmates crawled out of the woodwork with their own stories of her cruelty. Aunt Clara deleted every social media account she had. Joanna deactivated for a month. And my parents finally called. The first time I saw what 63 million views actually looks like, I threw up. Not from guilt. From the sheer size of it. Sabrina's face, frozen in that triumphant sneer, crutch raised like she'd won something, was on the morning news, on the subreddit r/public freakout front page, on breakfast television in 3 different countries. The clip played on loop while anchors used words like shocking, disgraceful, and modern-day witch hunt. They weren't wrong about the witch hunt part. The internet decided Sabrina was the embodiment of every ableist bully who ever told someone to just walk it off. And they went for her throat. Her apartment complex left a 48-hour vacate notice on her door after residents threatened to withhold rent if that woman stayed in the building. Someone started a GoFundMe for my legal fees. It hit $87,000 in 4 days. I shut it down and redirected every cent to a local spinal cord injury nonprofit. I didn't need their money. I needed them to remember my name every time they thought about opening their mouths. The criminal case moved faster than anyone expected. The DA upgraded the charge to felony assault on a person with a disability plus misdemeanor harassment. Bond was set at $15,000. Sabrina's mugshot, eyes swollen, mascara streaked, hair in a messy ponytail, became the new banner for half the disability advocacy accounts on Twitter. I watched it all from my couch with the volume muted. Ice pack on my hip, Naomi asleep on the other end with her head on my shoulder. I didn't feel triumph. I felt hollowed out, like someone had scooped everything soft out of me and all that was left was bone and purpose. Then came the apologies. Aunt Clara showed up at my door with a homemade lemon cake and tears. I let her stand in the hallway while she sobbed about how she never meant to hurt me. I took the cake, set it on the floor outside my neighbor's door, and closed mine without a word. Joanna sent flowers every week for 2 months. I donated them to the hospital. Mom left 17 voicemails in one day. The last one was just quiet crying and the words, "I should have stopped her. I'm so sorry I didn't stop her." He saved it. I still haven't listened to it again. Dad finally called on a Tuesday night, voice thick with beer and shame. "Fee, your mom's not eating. Sabrina's talking about moving away. Can this be over?" I said, "Dad, you didn't even look at me when I was on the ground. This was over the moment you chose the burgers over your daughter." He didn't call again. The civil suit settled out of court 4 months later. $210,000. Sabrina's entire savings, plus what she got from selling her car and most of her designer bags. She signed the agreement with shaking hands in a conference room that smelled like burnt coffee and regret. She tried to catch my eye across the table. I looked through her like she was glass. Lisa leaned over and whispered, "You just bought your freedom with her future." I didn't smile. But I did sleep through the entire night for the first time in 2 years. The criminal charges ended in a plea, guilty to reduced misdemeanor assault, 200 hours of community service at a rehab hospital, mandatory ableism sensitivity training, and a permanent criminal record. The judge looked Sabrina in the eye and said, "You will carry the weight of what you did to your sister for the rest of your life. I hope it's heavy." She started volunteering at my PT clinic. I know because I saw her there one afternoon, wearing an oversized staff t-shirt, pushing wheelchairs for patients who needed help getting to hydrotherapy. Our eyes met across the gym. She opened her mouth like she wanted to speak. I turned my back and walked into my session without a word. That was the last time I ever looked at her directly. A year later I stood on a small stage in downtown Denver holding a glass award from the Colorado Disability Alliance. They called my blog, "the most impactful piece of disability advocacy writing in the state this decade." I looked out at the crowd, hundreds of people on crutches, in wheelchairs, with canes and service dogs and scars they couldn't hide, and I didn't talk about revenge. I talked about the first time I managed 10 unassisted steps in therapy. I talked about the readers who wrote to me and said, "Because of you, I told my mom the truth about my pain." I talked about the community that grew in the ashes of the family that abandoned me. And when I stepped off the stage, Naomi was waiting with a grin and a coffee. She didn't say, "I told you so." She just hugged me so hard my ribs creaked. I never went back to a family gathering. Not Thanksgiving. Not Christmas. Not even when Mom was diagnosed with a second cancer scare. Some bridges aren't meant to be rebuilt. Some burns are cleansing. My blog still gets 1,000 comments a day. I still go to PT 3 times a week. Dr. Brooks says I might ditch the crutches entirely in another year or 2. I don't know if I want to. They're part of my story now. And sometimes, when the pain wakes me up at 3 a.m. and the silence feels too loud, I open my phone and scroll through the very first post I ever wrote. The one that started it all. At the bottom, there's a comment from an account with no profile picture, posted exactly 1 year to the day after the barbecue. It says, "I was wrong. Sorry. Miss you." I never replied. I don't need to. The girl who hit the ground that day is gone. The woman who stood up from the ashes doesn't owe anyone her forgiveness. She only owes herself the life she's building. One honest word, one steady step, one chosen family member at a time. And that life, it's beautiful. So if you're still here after this hour, thank you. Thank you for sitting with me through the fall, the fire, and the freedom. If someone in your life ever made you feel like your pain wasn't real, I want you to remember this. Your truth doesn't need their permission to exist. Your voice doesn't need their approval to be loud. And sometimes the most powerful revenge isn't destruction. It's survival. It's becoming so undeniably you that their doubt looks pathetic in the rearview mirror. This wasn't just my story. It was proof that sometimes the most savage revenge isn't destroying the people who hurt you. It's refusing to let them destroy you. And then building a life so bright, so full, so completely yours that they can never reach it again. Your truth is enough. You don't owe anyone a performance of your pain. Walk away from the tables where you're the joke. There is a whole world full of people who will see you, believe you, and love you exactly as you are.